Every single follower of Christ has a kingdom dream that is in your heart.
Ephesians 2 says there is a good work that has been prepared for you in advance, which means that God created you, made you, intimately put you together, gave you the skills, the giftings, the competency, the character, the context, the place. All of those things have been placed in you because there's a good work that He has prepared to come out of you. And so God has deposited something in every follower of Christ, the priesthood of all believers. And the question is, like, what does it look like for that thing to come out?
We live as zombies by day and insomniacs at night. We can't sleep, and yet we have trouble living wide awake. What we need is an awakening, a moment where the light starts to shine in and results in God dreams.
Around Grace, we talk about awakening each other to live kingdom dreams in a world that's fast asleep. And the issue with fast asleep is not that we're not doing anything. It's not that we're not busy. It's not that we're not running from place to place. The issue is we're asleep in our hearts. We're asleep to the things that really matter. And so we're busy running around doing things that feel insignificant to us when there's something better and bigger that is calling out to us and crying out to us and inviting us to wake up.
Grace is more than just a church. We believe that being rooted in the Word of God is essential to what makes us who we are. Grace is a group of people who, because of how we view the Word of God and because of how we see the heart of God for the world, we want to go and change the way things are in our communities, because this is a gospel that doesn't leave us complacent. What unites us as a family at Grace is three things. We want to be a church planting family that plants healthy churches. We want to raise up a generation of leaders, the next generation of leaders, by pouring into that generation. And the third thing is we want to catalyze Jesus movements in the Muslim world. The three pillars are really important to us, but at the center of who we are is the gospel. This is Christ and Him crucified, as we know Him through the Word of God.
I love reading about coyotes. Coyotes are one of the most adaptable animals on the whole planet. Did you know that there are thriving packs of coyotes in downtown Chicago and in the suburbs and in the small towns? Pretty much anywhere you go in the United States, you can find coyotes doing really well. Sometimes I think Grace churches are kind of like coyotes. When we're doing it right, we could thrive in any environment. Because the Grace family of churches is committed to something much deeper than programs. We're committed to opening the scriptures week after week. We're committed to mission and discipleship and raising people up, life on life. And that takes all kinds of different practical and programmatic shapes. That means in the suburbs, in the city, small town, and even the college town, it's going to express itself differently. So now the Grace family comprises 7 churches in the greater Atlanta area, in addition to 3 more churches in Washington, D.C., south side of Nashville, and Poplar Bluff, Missouri. But in every case, we're looking, how is God calling us out into the mission field? How is God calling us out to be a family? Ultimately, the churches of the Grace family are not so concerned about gathering, how many people can we get in the building, but sending, how many people can we activate into the calling of God on their lives.
Our hope is that Grace is going outside of the building. We love gathering as a church. We love worshiping together. We love opening the Word. We love being with one another. But our hope is that we move beyond just being inside the building, worshiping together, praying together, and that we move out into the community. What if we started to look inside of Grace and say, every single person that is a member of Grace, that is a part of Grace, that shows up to a Grace Church on a Sunday, you have a dream and you have a calling, and we want to help you accomplish that calling.
Everywhere where there's cool, transformative work taking place, there's some follower of Jesus quietly at the center of it. Because it takes that kind of heart that is willing to dream with God, willing to take risks and to serve people just for the sake of loving people, you know? I think most people are quicker to see the problems and the negatives than they are the potential. And so it's a discipline to actually say, what could be?
There is a feeling in this community that African Americans are not welcome downtown in Monroe. Real, perceived or not, there is this undertone of non-inclusion within this community. Is that real? Yes, it's real. Are they racist? No. It's just that their paths don't cross in this community. It's almost sad.
Kirkland and I first met, and I realized right away that he and I could work together to bring a new perspective to our own community on how they could relate to others in the community. We gathered about 32 people for 7 consecutive weeks, and we took them through a certain curriculum that helped them to understand the history of racial relations in our country. And more specifically, we talked about things that had happened in our own community.
We weren't sure we were doing the right thing. We intended to have some great conversations. It just got into a tangent. People were angry at each other and people were upset with each other, and it just was going into a way we weren't sure. One lady was coming back because she was so upset about what we're doing. And lo and behold, she came back the next week and got more engaged and more involved than anybody. That's when you know you're doing something good. When you meet resistance, you must be doing something right. If you're not meeting resistance, you're doing nothing.
I think that God is calling us all into this. I am certain of it. It's a question of how well each of us are listening and how willing we are to reach others and look to get to know them, become a part of their lives.
And I feel this is God's calling, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it, because it's uncomfortable. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of work. There's some progress been made. There's a lot more progress that needs to be made. And I feel like Brian and I are uniquely qualified and we're uniquely positioned in order to make that work come to fruition.
The Row is a mixed-use space that's comprised of whole animal butchery, a fresh market, and a restaurant and event space in one. True farm to table. 15 years ago, the city of Monroe was forgotten about. To be honest, I don't think it has a great racial history. So I think there was a lot of rewriting what it could be. Downtown really did not start taking shape or form, in my opinion, until Brian and Sadie Krozik moved their entire family here and started to build the church, which we attended at the time, Grace Monroe.
We were not looking to own a restaurant or run a restaurant. It got birthed out of connection and storytelling and then dreaming.
It was something that we were passionate about and prayed a lot about and talked with our friends about. Why would we do this? Should we do this? We have no background in this. Like, it wasn't a smart move. Then the longer the conversation went on and the more we would sit and talk, it started changing and forming from, okay, we're just opening a business in a building, to maybe our goal is to create a space that brings others in and are able to do the things that they love. So rewriting history, I guess for me, in this space, we want to create something that everybody feels welcome to come to, not just a sector of people or a certain class of people. You know, we want to be approachable to everyone.
Our vision for Grace was never a bunch of churches that gather together on Sundays. It was a community of people that are launched to change the world. One of the beautiful examples of dreams coming to life and people being awakened and transforming communities is Monroe, Georgia. That whole community has been transformed by Grace Monroe, by the fact that there have been people in that community who have awakened to ideas of development to make the community a better place, who have been awakened to ideas of nonprofits who are changing the local trajectory of at-risk kids and people who are struggling in poverty and actually making a dent in all of these social issues and changing culture because of it. And Monroe's not unique. This is happening in every community that there's a Grace Church, and it will continue to happen in every community that we plant a Grace Church, because Grace is the people. It's the people that are unleashed to change culture and to change community. And when we really rise up and become a people who fall in love with the problem in our communities rather than our solutions, then we start to fall in love with empathy, and we start to have this deep level of empathy and care for the people that we're serving and for the people in our community, and we start to bring real transformation for real people.
I'm David Cheney, member here at Grace Marietta, and my wife and I, we own and operate Martha's Outpost, which is a coffee trailer specializing in servicing the outdoor industry here in Georgia. We named Martha's Outpost after our grandfather. We built the brand to enhance the outdoor experience, to fuel the weekend warriors, those that have a passion, and we knew that we wanted to work together to start to create something that our family could be a part of. And right from the beginning, Grace, we have to credit them for giving us the nudge, the encouragement. There was a term about kingdom dreams and kingdom calling, and we started to connect the dots that, you know, what we were looking for was something that was placed by God. And so what Grace did was it came alongside of us. This just held our hand and said, take the first step.
It really does feel like now we just have connection and purpose and meaning, and the rat race is not something that we even really think about. Grace has really been like Jesus in the community for us, realizing our dream and living it out and supporting us and just empowering us. It has, honestly, Grace has changed our life.
Ephesians says, "Wake up, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and the love of Christ will shine upon you." And I really believe that there is this moment that happens in all of our lives where we realize what we were made for, what we were created for, and the problem that we were actually called to solve in this world. When people of faith begin to realize that there are real problems for real people in the real world and start to become the solution to those things, that's when the church has real influence in culture. That's when the church has left the building, and that's when the church begins to pioneer new and fresh initiatives that can change communities and change the world. So we believe the future of Grace is a bunch of people from Grace coming alive and awake to the fact that they need to launch a nonprofit that changes their community and makes a difference. We believe that the future of Grace is a bunch of people inside of Grace launching businesses that are kingdom businesses, that are creating income for mission, that are funding faith-based initiatives, and that are providing dignity and honor to employees and are funding the real things that need to be built. We believe the future of Grace is everyday people, not the pastors, not the staff. It's everyday people coming up with microchurch ideas and missional community ideas and ministry ideas and discipleship ideas and ways that we can help our world know Christ in a better way. What if we really decided we were going to wreck the roof to get to Jesus? What if we really decided we were going to throw out the box that we've existed in and just say, what if the church no longer was just an institution that we gathered in on Sunday, but it was a people unleashed in the world making a difference?